All right. Bring the meeting to order tonight. Does everyone have an agenda? Did you guys get an agenda? There. Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. I did send one because I printed one out.
Probably like this one.
Welcome by President, welcome. Let's go. Approval of
There they are.
Yes, I did.
You see the minutes? Here they
These are right up here, fellas.
For the regular meeting, new issues, other than the winter medals would be distributed tonight. But reminders about game change requests, regional procedures.
How about the executive session? Is that not included?
It's not included there because we do that at the executive session. They're right there, so I mean, they're right there.
Linda, report from the treasurer, please.
Hold on. This is all posted, that's why I go to what's posted. See that it is what's posted.
On USA, you can pick it up on the website also, but since we're here, let's just ram through it real quick.
Here's the profit and loss. I can't get the print right because QuickBooks doesn't like things it doesn't like. So upgrade the QuickBooks. But anyway, see our income. Okay. I just scroll bar. See, it seems to be gone. If I just move it. There it is. There it is. That's a little bit of a help. That's just going to bring you to the bottom. I'm going to make it smaller for you to see it.
Is everyone going to look at it?
There it is. That's the expenses. Before fines come in, we're up to paying all the referee assigners through. They're not going to get paid for March until April. So.
For that vision back there, can you make that any bigger? No.
Oh, I can make it bigger, but then you can't. I lose the bottom of the page. It's disappeared again.
Black.
Oh, we're definitely in the
black. Okay.
All right, go to the
Big news.
you go to the back sheet. Yeah, 1,000, and that's all the expenses. So
That's the most interesting factor, folks. That means that next time when we get to this AGM, if anybody says we don't have the to do something, number. Okay. Any on this? Secretary Eric, I guess we're. It's been a while. Is that right? Has anybody checked?
I haven't heard from them.
Seen him in 9 months. And Secretary, just so you guys know, administrative between Sherry and Linda, the role secretary's gone. I mean, we're keeping the minutes electronic. So what the secretary would have done 5 years ago is no longer existent. It's a position, not that you have to have the position, I guess, corporately, but it's functioning. It's a functioning position. So it's not here. We're not missing anything because we're getting, and Linda and Sherry or myself have done the communications, what had to be done, or Frank, with FYA, with the clubs or anything else. So, it's I know we sorry, but it really is, it has become meaningless in this day and age. All right. Vice President, Senior Boys, Melissa. Am I Mike will be here later, but he didn't have anything to report. Steve, anything interesting of the girls?
Nothing, yep.
Just remind everybody about UC meeting once a year, coming Sunday. I hope that every person here will have one representative, because we need to discuss some proposed rule change and what you think change in our league. So I hope that every club is going to be represented there, and see it from Sunday.
Time that we can open up a little bit and argue. Tonight's not a good time for it, but that is a good time for it. And we've got 4 or 5 things that we really got to get to the of them. I mean, it was a big problem last year, and especially on the outer edge of this thing, need to be there. All right, you need to get your 2 cents in. All right.
Yeah, poll or the survey. Those are, you have the information.
We'll have it at the meeting. But I yes.
I sent it out to the board.
Yeah. But it's compilated.
Okay.
It's not, we've got to still vote on all these, but it's not one way or the other. And you don't know who you get in the survey. It could be a guy that doesn't come back. Part of the DOC problem or always been that meeting is whoever goes in either gets fired, is not around, or doesn't get back to the club. And it's like new news when we decide something there. We get to the fall and everyone's wondering when did it. So, and get it back to your club. That's what we need. Your president's report, that's all I got. Get to the meeting because that's where things are going to happen. I promise you it will be eventful. There'll be plenty of time to complain and a lot of this stuff that's kind of below the surface, the fines, the travel, the got soccer issues if we've got any, all that stuff that's going on. That's the time to get the input in and get things rearranged. That's the idea of it. And if possible, a decision maker or somebody that can take the information back to the club, because that's the weakest point of our whole organization here. We don't get the information back to the club, to the coach, and constantly all these things that we're talking about seem to be, 30% of the people out there seem to be amazed when they so that's to get that done. That's all I've got. That's business. Joan Judd, the grant banquet. Guys, Sherry, Linda, have you guys got the?
Sherry's got the info on the
Okay.
website, right?
So we're still on a Joan Judd banquet. Well, you're not gonna. Frank, we go have somebody to represent us and handle this stuff because that's what I think. Linda, is it? Okay. So Joan Judd, that's when the banquet is for all the Joan Judd, award winners.
And then will be sent an email.
April 23rd.
Here. Yeah. And shut it on the calendar, and we will send people that want. Once they send me the list,
Old business, Joan Judd grant we got. Remind, send in proof of service, a red card so they can be updated. Again, it's an ongoing problem, and again, we need to discuss this and see exactly how we're going to handle it because we got people with red cards that are playing. We don't find out till 2 weeks later. It's not catastrophic. It's just negative. So if you can remember to do that, talk about this at the meeting Sunday. There's another idea that we've got that might work. Business division award winners. That's the trophies in the back for all of the unhappy people that sent me stuff about the T-shirts. Covered the T-shirts. Let me cover one more time real quickly. For 5 years, we left with T-shirts that no one ever picked up. Guatemala or Honduras or somewhere like that, which is great, but we can, if we want to do that, let's just send the money down there. Get the sizes in from the coaches, so this, even if we get the shirts, the sizes are half wrong because we didn't get accurate bounce back. The communication is so difficult to get out and back to those division winners and then get them to pick up the T-shirts. It's frankly a tremendous waste of your money. And we did this year, which was not fine, but I thought as good as we could do, is we'll pay for the design of the shirt. You get to the shirt maker and order your own, and that way you have ownership. In other words, you order them, you'll pick up, yours will get T-shirts. And for $10 a kid, it's not. We're obviously we have money. It's just a complete and utter waste of money. Besides that, it's a pain in the butt having to haul them back and put them in one's garage because that's where they end up. There's such a utter lack of anybody picking those things up, and it's not one or two buses. It's half of them, a third of them. It just doesn't work. No one has an idea how it could work. And I know you're, but it's fine. I like the T-shirts also. For the one or two guys that really are on top of it, the kids appreciate it. The other 13 or 14 or 15 and never get them and never see them, or they're the wrong size, communicate well enough to pull something like that off. Because when we start, we ask for, I see you with a quizzical look, we start asking the coach if they sizes, okay? Half don't come in, so we're after them for 6 weeks. Now, that's long past when we should have ordered the shirts.
Perhaps put something online on your app with the guy that was $10 a shirt. The guy ordering.
Well, that's what Mary suggested, and we pick up the tab. What we probably can do last year, it's a good idea. Bring it to the meeting. Briefly. I'm just kidding.
Is that winners, the ones that they won, no, that is what is happening.
We didn't, no. They're not trophy.
They have to buy their trophy
The
because
T-shirt.
they're playing
Yes.
for the display for the uniform. That's
Yes.
that is our
Yes.
partnership.
Because those shirts cost us $50 a piece.
For the last, probably 10 or more years, city in New York, for satisfying all that. The players, we figured out something that they
Well,
will earn.
I think
That's what they earn.
I think we got a good idea.
Have to buy the union,
That's correct.
which is
It's
totally
$100, Mario, and we're spending.
my kid's not gonna get it.
No, but I'm saying, as your money, we're leaking away $1,500 to and not anybody picking up these shirts. If so, for why that really would appreciate it and do it, the kids are gonna, which I agree with you, we've got more that don't, and that's where we got to. That was the issue. Yes. Yes.
Now,
If you can help me, if you can help us get them out. But you're absolutely right. However, you one out of 35 of these things. The problem we've had consistently is we get or 3/4 of them. We end up with all these shirts because people don't bother picking up. For every guy like you, there's another one that doesn't bother, and because of it, all of us end up paying for those shirts. Yes, but I mean, but it ends up being $50 a shirt.
We work hard. We want the t-shirt now. I have
Is that the only reason they're playing? Yes. But I think we've got we're headed to a solution now where we'll wait for you to order and us to pay for it. I'll go back. When no one seems to be as interested in bothering to get it, You know, I think if they order, at least we've got a little more buy-in.
Why the board doesn't do it?
Can I interject? Okay, I was just talking to Linda. You know, obviously we just saw the budget. We seem to be up as far as.
Absolutely.
I have a problem, and I can make a motion. I see what you're saying, Mario. If you don't want to wait, that's the thing you don't want to do. You don't want to wait. So if you want to purchase it for your team, which is for lack of a better term, and you bring in a receipt to us, then we can just reimburse.
Absolutely. I'm 100%.
Do it that way. I mean.
Why don't you don't want something different, that might be working? And I was talking to Paul about it. Why don't you guys not give to the team, okay, a coupon that you go get and you get it.
Well, either way, but it probably is easier at this point. It's easier at this point, probably reimburse. I mean, I were discussing next year that this will be something we'll decide, and you guys can talk about your DOTs for next year. So it's in place. You know, and everybody will know going into it. But I mean, just for the sake of this conversation.
I don't want to wait next year.
Yeah. Well,
All right,
you know,
I make a motion that USA will
reimburse the club. Sorry.
I motion that USA will reimburse the team for the shirt. If the executive committee will decide and advise you, because right now I'm not going to come up with the details. We met the meeting follows. Look away. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In order them.
But I am not giving.
I'm all in favor,
That's
guys.
my motion. Somebody second it.
Second for the motion.
Now,
All right.
Sherry,
Do we have any discussion?
I need to know how many groups of T-shirts there were. Do you know?
We'll get that out later whenever.
Okay.
Find that out.
Well, for the dollar value.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Okay. Nays? All right.
Thank you.
Okay, you'll find out later how it happened.
Yeah, we'll discuss
All
it.
right.
Because I can't figure it out in my head right now, what the details.
All right, we went for the annual new business B, annual DOC meeting scheduled for the 13th. Shouldn't Tampa East get there? It will be a rocking time, all right? And we're gonna, all this stuff's gonna come up and get it solved. All right. That's for the good of the game. Do we have anything? Oh, meetings. Committee meetings next. 5 minutes. Record time. Like this. I'm not getting them t-shirts. I don't feel. Yes. That's a good idea. We'll reimburse it. But I'll tell you. You will be here. You will be here. Well, we know we have work. What's this gonna do? I'd like to see it get down. Oh, okay. one idea, just one. Get it down to 3 clubs that you're playing, 2 clubs, so you're not traveling to 5 places. Now, I know guys out there like that, but that will force. It's going to hurt some guys because it's going to force the good players into the club because they're going to have some better players. But somehow it's going to be that enough because the roll starts and it's going to be cutting. So that's what's going to happen if we're not careful. That's why I'm saying we got to come up with something. We say, you're going to. When you get around, you go from every one of those meetings where we had the second, the whole thing was we were just straws. We were saying, I'm not going with that. It's fine. But the design of the house, why do you want to USA? It's somehow we've got to come up with only 2 or 3 sites down there, or community site, or something to get out of this place to say, look, I go over to Miami, I understand that. So we say, well, if you really want to see the play down there, then we got to have it. And that's how we're going to be in. Period. Something like that facilitates good play, elegant play, especially if kids really want to get at it. And you got kids down there. I mean, it'll form tremendous. So put on 4 guys. All of a sudden, you got 2 games, and the rest of them that got their division and travel. They're not doing it. So we're finding out those things. And the argument's really easy. It's reasonable. But we don't want it to be. We're going to take someone else. We don't get steamrolled. There's one thing about because the travel advice fee, look at that. When you got finalists to say, I'm not going with that. No problem. Wade River and those guys, nobody wants to go because they get to travel advice. That's good for everybody. And that's unfair because it's hard without travel. Well, it's going to eliminate things down here. Someone's going to want to come down and play. Something like that ought to work. No spring. Have a lot of other. See, it'll be more of an overall vision. I understand it. Executive session. we're gonna get back to session. Hey. Bert. Let's get back here, let's get going.
I have the minutes up to the last minute.
All right. All right, let's take a look at the minutes. Get them up there, Willie, you got it?
Are we starting?
All right, everybody got a look at the minutes? All you guys on board?
Scroll down to all the games. Right. Greg Beaver is not resolved.
Which one?
Greg Beaver, he's still coaching. That's just when US, FYSA is allowed. He's not coaching ours, it's just the FYSA has to follow their rules.
It's not us. Anything else after H?
There's all the games we discussed.
All right.
That sounds,
Was anything else discussed today at the last one?
oh yeah, that was the game.
All right, keep moving. Let's go.
And then here's the clubs that we have here.
Right there.
Yeah.
Was Auburndale here? Were those guys here last week to answer?
No, here's this club.
Players Club. Were they here last month?
Nope,
Right.
not here this month.
What I thought.
Went through the rule changes. You have to see that discussion by looking at the posted changes on the website. I didn't list them here. I posted a document on the website.
Will you get to us for that meeting also, any of the rules?
I sent those to the board the day after this meeting, and I posted them.
Oh, they,
Yeah.
all right, good. Because that's basically the discussion before we have an election. We need to
And then we discussed that Jerry needs a new computer and going to give us our,
we'll get to that.
right, and then we're going to purchase a new computer for Sherry.
We'll wait all day. All right. All right, protests and appeals, approval of minutes.
You have them.
Everybody? All right. Protest and appeals.
Is that Carl that made the motion?
Carl made the motion. To accept. All right. Protest and appeals. Old Berndale, consideration for upcoming season.
Yes, I am. Yes, we did.
Okay, would you like to respond?
Yes, I can respond.
Okay.
Obviously, we're here because we need to know this. Our certificate is played in US 16 teams. Over in 2012, we received notice from FYA through a letter that in 3 we need to use uncertain bars to do the game. 2012.
Home matches did you have in that season?
100. We 65% paid it immediately. When we went, one of the referees that was on there was a certain ref. His name was spelled wrong on the game report. That knocked it down to basically 2 games for for Linda, I appreciate Linda went the other night, sat down and helped me go through and show us where we did and didn't use. We used Scott Soccer for the rest of the year, we're 100% sure. It brought us 2014. We games again at Lake Myrtle Park, sort of on every game. There's information from anybody that we did not.
Can you get that picture?
Well, let me finish and then I can respond to what he had to
Because we
say.
talked about this, where we referee assigner assigned to us last year, the assigned was to make that he certainly this whole referee host is to make sure we have got soccer. Where he is, he did enter stop, and when you go and check it, he not enter the other or the game, and then the very next game, the same ref, he's not in. You've got to use it properly. We've checked reports, I think, white refs were used on all the games, and the first out was brought against us. You should probably have that we did not use certain refs 2 years ago, back in 2012, when we played 175 games of the Park System. Coaches, suspensions for the year for review. I agree with this. We agree with you 100% that that's not acceptable behavior. We have removed them. We know next year one of them's already taken their child and left and gone to another club. Not acceptable.
Park or away?
And we played, like I said, we played over.
Well, I'm talking about the specific one for the coaches,
One that happened in Auburndale, but on the road.
not that it excuses, I'm just saying.
No, I'm just saying one of them.
One of them, man.
We played basically 110 USA games at our park last year, and we had incidents in one game. And that was being removed with him, and he got into with the referee. You know, club standpoint, and on the other hand, it's controlled all that many games.
Else? I have a couple of questions, but go ahead.
So I just want to bring up, here's where this is not where we started saying, it was brought to our attention back in, the 15 game, no refs are listed. The problem with saying that you have refs, there is no proof, because we have a game report. There's no game reports in UA possession that we can go back and check those referees. That's what Hunter Albritton was main signer. I worked with him on the phone, showed him how to use that, the sign, and when he stopped using it, a month after I showed him how to use it, and it's like a black hole. You know, communication with Auburndale, but no response.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue we have to support Linda on that is that, you know, we got there's just no doubt. I mean,
He's not on our board. I heard we didn't do it, he didn't do it, and
that's one of our biggest things, because when we do have incidences like we did, the only thing we can do is rely on what the referee and or writes or says, you know, outside of the coaches or parents. But, you know, with an age that we all as coaches realize that, you know, the referees basically have the final say in determining which they should, because they are the ones in charge. We have to rely on those reports. So if you don't like it, or even though it's not mandated, and it may be mandated moving forward, I mean, literally mandated in order for you to be in organization, biggest piece. That's one of the biggest pieces.
yeah, we're not arguing against
Right,
that.
and I think why we're a little, hate to use the word shy about it, is because we've been promised in the past that, yeah, we'll do it. And, you know.
And that's our fault for not checking the referee sign.
Right, so.
That. And, you know, what we're saying is that we have 250 kids that need a place to play.
I got you.
And moving
And
forward.
we don't want to hurt the kids. I mean, that, you know, that's the
One thing is, when
the case thing.
the only thing that concerns me, I wasn't here last month, I wish I had to, but the fact that I don't know doesn't mean that it wasn't being done. We have to be careful that we have proof that they did non-certified refs. We don't have the proof that they did. It's two different
It
things.
is, but I mean, it all starts with,
I and I'm not saying they shouldn't have it or whatnot, but my point is, this, in my opinion, to suspend somebody because they can't prove that they, in point of fact, they're here, they did,
a couple of instances, I think we knew.
2 or 3, that was it.
Basically, back in 2 seasons ago,
Yeah.
or a season ago, you had 3 games, but they were wrong. I mean,
That's 3 games that USA knew of. We'd heard from multiple referees that their cards were notified,
Unofficially.
but they didn't provide us with game reports or names. So it wasn't until the president of FYSA sent us game reports that goes, look, I don't know about the other games, you can right here.
but I think that season from 2012, from September, which is the beginning of the season, through the end of the season, we used that soccer.
I don't think so.
David Deegan assigned for it.
Oh, right, when
The whole season, we used that soccer. Joe West.
And I wasn't on the board at the time, but wasn't that something that we, and because it wasn't being used?
We did it, but my point is.
Well, that was a punishment.
You can definitely check that for those 100 USA games, we use certified refs.
after Dave Deegan took over, yes.
Yes, ma'am, that is exactly right.
And this is my issue. We did not back from Auburndale. That's the thing that concerned me was the there.
We are tonight.
So,
I need to come, because this is accumulation, not just a year, not just one incident, and I'm only on the board this year, so I've only, not only attest to the issues this year, but unfortunately, your, everybody in your club, but your club has been brought up under numerous different little issues, you know what I'm saying, whether it's the coaches being suspended, that we can't verify, certified refs or whatever, and, other past issues, it's just like, okay.
Well, see, I should say other passages, but we've been a member of USA for
Yeah.
10 years.
And
And I don't know of any other issue. I can go back to the first 8 years we were in USA. There's no issues, anything. It wasn't until we received a letter from about 2012. We did all of our games. We've never been fined ever by USA.
How did ISA get the game reports to send to us? Because he had the game report.
call up, he called Marino because Marino called Frank. And then next day, the referee sent us the game report because it wasn't until after the president of FYSA
Only
got
from
it.
here on, he'll call us for.
Yes, that we got the game report.
And as soon as we did, we've tried to correct everything. We did the rest of that season, did it, the punishment that came in the letter, we did exactly what we were told to do. We were punished for that, and we did it. You sent us a letter, and we did everything that was asked.
I don't know anything about the ARs because we don't have the ARs and got soccer until February, because September through January, they're just not there.
Do we have any unresolved issues at this point? Or has it been at least resolved to the extent we can resolve it?
Sherry has information out on the game, the suspensions. Did you get any proof that the suspensions were served? Or
So they're not there anymore.
they were, okay, so then Sherry did it, okay.
Perfect.
We've resolved it. This is at a point now where we're saying enough's enough type of thing. We can order the suspension comes in. Or
We might make a motion, let's.
I say we make a motion at this point, that we at least revisit it.
Reinstate them, let's not even revisit.
Reinstate them at this point.
No, I don't want to hear that. I'm not hearing what I'm saying. Either reinstate them because they can't have tryouts and say, I don't know. We're going to make a decision.
Let's make a motion.
I'll make a motion that, make a motion that we reinstate Auburndale Youth Soccer, USA League, based on certain conditions that, again, like we as an executive board will decide. We have to.
We need to be here. We need to be soccer.
But we have to. But what we have to do with that, and that's
Wait a
my.
second, make your motion,
Based on what we.
Auburndale to USA
under the conditions that is, the Executive Board of USA decide.
Okay.
We get gold.
That will be it.
I'll second it.
Oh, okay.
I need to know what I'm seconding, based upon stipulations
As determined by the board.
okay. One,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
seconding that, okay. Okay, now we got a motion and a second.
So now,
Okay.
so now,
And with that being said, and we can discuss what those stipulations will be, but understanding, the other thing I don't want is to be, so I get that, stop doing it, I won't ever do it again, okay, all right, no more again, and then they come back and do the same thing again. We gotta stop that vicious, that cycle that's going around. It's good, so we appreciate you coming and doing it, and obviously, we're here with the kids, so we wanna make sure it's done. But what happens? We have to come back and make a decision. It's more of like now it's a point of probation, based on probation that what stipulated doesn't happen. We're not doing it anymore. It's done. And it's done because we don't want these to come about again, especially with the that's all I had. That's all I had.
Stipulations that I've been able to pull out of the conversation are meeting attendance and the use of property.
Okay.
Now,
by referee.
use of property would mean
Would be certified, right?
being certified referee.
Yeah, and you put that stipulation in there. I mean, that would be fine just to.
Yeah, that is it. Certified as signer.
That's fine. I mean, it's whatever you want to do.
I mean, that's.
Has to be approved, I guess, we have to prove it anyway, but,
No, we don't have to.
No.
Yeah, if you can get somebody to the AGM and get them certified.
Jim's got a question.
Right. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that's going to be something I propose. Every club is under the gun.
I had the opportunity to issue it at my referee down there. On road. Referees come up to me, see how the referee games, I accept for theirs. Also, when you walk up there, I'll tell you, you get.
No, they're not using that software.
So, what I have to have a conversation is that referee reporting that this club is certified. How does that referee know that means that referee means that?
They don't know.
I mean, there's an system here. Well, I'm going to use it as a registration to offer rate on the sign.
We're trying to decide what to use it.
In here, and I'm trying this up. The whole board decided it would not be USA because they would not, I'm not about the technical side, because they have to use. Right. Give clubs. Well, I don't know.
well,
Clubs to pick up these other signs. I don't know who you find. It's not a word.
it's very important,
I'll do it.
and I think we have to have a training. I think we have to have, those types of.
Frank is we talked about that, just talked about it with Jim.
And you
He's got some ideas.
If they don't want to go to fine, get somebody who will.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% that it has to be used, and not in our bylaws now that it has to be used, and we're just saying you are not going to say it to other clubs, but in that regard, it's kind of like the police officer, when 10 cars go zipping by him, and how many did he get? One. Okay, he gets the last one, all right? Well, they got caught. unfortunately, but they got hard. So,
I know clubs.
Yeah.
Your face up and.
right, you get it, right.
But we used to go out there and there's no AR.
I'm sure there's tons of other clubs out there that are doing the same thing, and this is just the first step, as far as I'm concerned, as a board member, that we need to move towards, like what you said.
But it's a huge problem.
It's a huge thing, and we have to address it.
Control clubs in your state.
So we can control the clubs that want to participate in our league.
That's not right.
Always
What we're talking about doing things, everything you're doing. Yeah, you can't control what they do with CDL or.
That's a whole different organization.
That's why they really come and take up, no, you can't control that. You control, I'm not you. They're guaranteed there. 4 or 5 times the last one, I go, there's never any AR.
Unfortunately, the problem is,
Never any AR.
unfortunately, the problem is too big. Obviously, this year is pretty much over. You know what I mean? We're playing with people. So this is the something where, you know, when we start proposing new bylaws,
It's not even bylaws. I think we get to this meeting
Whatever.
Sunday, that is one of the things we gotta, I mean, we gotta do something. This referee,
I don't know if this comes up, if I'm up for subject at the wrong time.
you don't get it.
You want all these stipulations put on this, and all these one else, we're doing everything.
Let's get one of
Yeah.
the say about this, Mary. Do you have a comment as far as the Auburndale?
Stipulations, got sucker and.
Yeah, well, yeah, we don't.
And you've got to deal with that, I understand that. But to be fair, you've got to deal with the other.
we will.
Yeah. Let's deal with.
Don't want this to happen.
Let's deal with this.
Anybody.
Because I guarantee you, consultation is one.
Yep.
You use one. It takes 5 minutes for a person under 18 to be risk management approved.
Oh, yeah.
5 minutes.
To click.
Let's finish the discussion.
Any other stipulations that we want to say? The biggest one is the soccer with having a certified assigner.
And it's all the meetings, so that when an issue comes up, there's something.
Well, yeah, and the meetings may be, that may be, you gotta be online,
A lot.
At least online.
depending on what the vote is like at the AGM.
You know, is, an organization, we need to have some pretty strong standards. And here, with the fines and the enforcement and stuff like, we're trying to strengthen those standards and move them along. So that's where we're going with this. And, you know, to help out, and actually help us all out. Because I'm telling you, we don't want any, we don't want horror stories coming out.
You look at a referee supplemental report, he writes certain terminology and certain things, and it's not a judgment call, it is what it is. You do this with it, and that's what he does.
Which really have a lot of most teams, most coaches know that the step of your time is not showing about the AR step and that is not certified,
We're in trouble.
you guys,
Yeah. We're all putting ourselves out.
that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line, that's what we have to do.
Well, this probably, unfortunately, not that we're making an example of it, but this will be the example that hopefully draws the rest of the club and or us as an organization to move forward with.
No problem.
Yeah.
That was our intent.
We appreciate it.
We're not, the club said we're compliant, we're not doing it.
Right,
Referees don't.
yeah. I
All right.
All in favor of reinstating Auburndale for the coming season,
Based
based on stipulations that we have.
Certified referee and.
Steve?
Aye.
Okay.
Let's go. Well, all right.
We got, are they here? Well, we understand, but the thing is, where are we with that?
Email out on that, when that.
Yeah, called me.
Because they don't have any teams at site. He only has 2 teams as far as I know, right? The 2 teams in Pinellas County, am I correct?
Players.
Well, Players Club, I guess the point is that they were, the 2 teams they had that were in Pinellas County that were,
They were in Bradenton.
sorry, they were managed.
Yeah, they're managed.
But, and so he lets them use his badge, basically, to say that they're a Class A approved club. The point of fact, they're not a club, they weren't a club, and ended up throwing kids on the field that, up at the game, and they put a
Illegal player.
and grossly. Not something that was just by mistake. This was a kid that shouldn't have been there, and we had, but otherwise we would have never even gotten that far. So there's no controls there. There's no club there. So that's why this thing. We're getting to the point now. We've got people. Look, you can't do this, and we're not interested in having you in the league.
It's not defense on the thing that what happens is that the part of the kids sign into freshman into teams. Something that maybe
There's no club there. I mean, that's the point. There's no oversight, and there's no any oversight in this. I mean, in the first place, probably.
Yeah, they are sanctioned.
Yes, they are.
They wouldn't be allowed in at all.
Yeah, we'll worry about that when it comes, but I mean, the fact if he's not here today, then we're not going to do anything about it. We don't know what's going on, right? And
We do know what's going on at this point in time.
well, showing up tonight to explain why he feels he needs a hearing. Well, it is. Just stays. Well, the vote was last meeting.
Well, let's present like Arbell's presented. You don't know.
All right. All right, new business. Game number 4716. Game played without being scheduled on Dot Soccer.
I gotta get there.
Score be accepted.
Okay. It was canceled in February due to playable field conditions, which happened the rain day. February 1st was a rain day. We understand it was canceled. But teams made arrangements to play games and put it and are sending us a game report and want us to count that game report. They did a support, but we were able to verify that, it's like a lot of these last minute ones, I think. I'm trying to remember.
I feel like there was half of the communication, but it never got.
We never scheduled a game because usually when we get these things at the last minute, we check with the owner. There's no way to schedule a game. You can get a ticket on a Friday or Saturday game and just say, Jim, you're stuck. And I don't know what the issue was. I really don't. There's been a couple. Oh, it was a Pinellas game. It wasn't yours. Nope. It was a referee, so we have no idea. But we never scheduled the game.
Do we have the report of the game? So was the certified ref?
Well,
By the ARs, was it?
problem is, we didn't schedule it.
They did.
They did. It was scheduled.
Yeah, the regional game, they played it, but did not inform us. We had no idea what was going on.
So the Celtics got the rap.
Apparently.
Okay.
They get it like a scrimmage. Scrimmage.
I went through half of the process of getting the game rescheduled with a support ticket.
Right.
I think they sent the support ticket to Got Soccer, not us. So we just closed out or something. I don't remember the.
They showed up.
Right. It wasn't on the schedule. We keep saying, play as scheduled. If the game is not on the schedule, then we have to schedule it.
Okay.
That's not a game.
Well, they use this game card.
And it was assigned by us probably because that was fine, I guess.
Probably use the same guy who was signed for Saturday.
It could be, I mean,
No.
Why don't we just take a vote on whether we accept it or not, because that's where we're going. Correct? Well, I mean, both went to play, either way, except,
because this game was one that was canceled by rain, I have some sympathy for the team. There's a bunch where the teams just say, we don't want to play this game, we're going to play. Those are the ones I'm furious about because it just puts a whole disrespect for.
Rules are set up for.
But this was one where they had to agree on the day anyways because it was canceled by rain. And they bought a ticket, but it didn't get changed. So.
letting it stand as a game. Say aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Much as I'm saying aye.
Got enough.
It's one that we. So 40, we'll get the report from 4760.
City management survey. Proposed amendments, we have proposed amendments for the AGM, we have.
Hold on, wait, which one are we going?
Well, I don't know why we're gonna cover that now.
You want to see, but you want to see it now?
No, I got it, you sent it out to us.
I know, but I want to put it up on the screen.
Yeah. Well, we'll look at, document, Sunday also, that's really where we.
I'm going to pull it up on the screen so that you can see.
We have, excuse me, we have another item after the DOT.
Well, the proposed amendments, they are in, whoever is proposed.
Was, for the executive board. I make the board aware. Region, last one? Is that when it was? Yeah, February, when I came back from vacation. March. And, we had a vacation during the game. 13 boys game, 14 boys game, 13 boys game. Lindsay and Johnny. Now, I'm sorry. Yeah. Agree, right? The point I want to bring up here is, yes, be an FYSA handle it, but these U.S. League. So.
We can't, restriction any more.
Well, they did.
The FYSA, we'll take it away from them and tell them, hey, send it to us, we'll take it.
The reason I bring it up is they're a member of the USA organization. They under our umbrella.
And they played in our league, didn't they play?
Yeah, and at Plant City, we've had an issue or two, so we will keep, I think we'll keep that in mind as.
One of these, the Scott Soccer gets further along, we start.
Yeah.
And they saying, hey fellas, what's the problem out there? It might not have been, who knows? No,
I understand. No, I
And
understand.
we can't go in, FYSA decide to do anything.
If you're gonna look at your membership and say,
No, it's not, we don't have.
they're a problem organization, and we've had issues with them, every event, that if there was an issue with them, hey, what happened? Okay?
Mess though, the whole thing, they disqualified both of them, didn't they? Or someone's.
But there's nothing to show that those clubs didn't do anything with.
Report on it. We don't even have a report on it. We didn't get the report. knows about it. It's a mess. I don't, back to what we're talking about, everybody's, the teams come and the other people are enemies, when they're not opponents anymore. Everybody's an enemy, It's the whole area is poison, And we gotta stop it somehow, or start working on it. The amendments will start, on Sunday. We will go through everyone we've got, at least, and explain what they are. Sherry, you have all of them?
They're all,
Okay.
I picked them up the day after. Let me show you where they're at.
Right there, there's printed out.
See the board proposed rules changes to be presented at the May AGM. You click on
Where
it.
are they printed?
But I put them up, I put this up the day
Excellent. All right, then we need.
after the meeting.
A bunch of these. We got,
Now,
for the meeting.
I don't have any others we want to put up, but here's what. That's a copy of the rules.
Yeah. That's all you got, though, up to this point? This is the amendment change? But I mean, how about never do more, no other ones? Anybody? Now, 5 minutes for this, the end of this meeting.
Putting up proposed amendments.
As far as getting the proposed amendments to Sherry, and we've got 20 for the meeting. They've got to be posted, but
Got to be posted 20 days.
as I understood it, and it is in our bylaws, this is the end of this meeting here, the last time you can hand them this.
Last time this board has a chance,
Outside clubs.
everybody else can make changes.
Before the, because that's where you want to get, unfortunately.
Well, I'm going to read it, and
It's in there, 20 days before, they've got the 20 days. That's the one.
Assume that as long as we have it within that time frame.
That's why we,
Posted.
well, I'm surprised we haven't seen that. I think it had something about this meeting, because last year I know we couldn't see this meeting. I know that. Because amendments to put in, and we weren't allowed to put them in.
proposals made by the executive committee must be posted on the USA website at least 20 days in advance. Okay, by us. Okay? We've got up to 20, but this is our last meeting. Proposed to be submitted by any other member club representative and submitted to the executive committee later than the April executive committee meeting. This meeting, so
My point.
option is over. We've got to this weekend that we've got the 20 days.
So we can take the proposals from the DOCs and put it up and
A good rule change, and we put it in right now, it's asinine. I mean, having both things simultaneously is silly. If they end the meeting and make a 20 days period, have nothing to do with this meeting. And that's the way it's.
Well, then you write out the way you want this
Yeah,
changed,
that's what we
and we
need to.
will vote.
Yeah, because you're right, and it's saying two things simultaneously that, they can hand it to us, and they can put it in for us.
Just let them do it.
Absolute,
And we can rewrite that.
so we'll just strike that, I'll get to that.
I don't mind, I'll go.
No. Yeah, but don't you think,
I agree.
Does everybody else?
If this board agrees, then I'll go ahead and update the.
I mean, for me, put it in for me, is something that I want as a proposed, amendment. Strike that,
The April
make it for period, for everybody, every living human being, every other thing.
Okay. All right, okay, and this has.
I don't think
Yeah.
I have no idea. I still, on the website, right?
This is what, this here?
Yeah.
yesterday.
Is this something different than what we put up from last meeting?
Yeah, by the way you put it up.
You got them this morning, so meaning it's different than.
This is from Paul. I don't know.
Yeah, these are the sum total of all the people I got, everything I wrote them, but I mean, this is all.
We need to, so, do we want to let the
the meeting, but we need to go through them at the, I think we'll go through them tonight, right? Vote on these, our members are gonna vote on every.
And one of them here.
He's also here.
I don't know.
No, these are,
Right. That's from
this is what the board came up with at the March meeting.
Oh, I don't have any idea what that is.
I sent it to you.
Yeah, okay.
Last
I'll
month.
take a look.
And then you did this in addition.
This
So
is-
this
this
needs to be
has-
merged.
in-
Any that are the
I'm
same,
sure there were some that are the same, but they're not.
you send this to
I did.
electronically.
I did.
Got it?
No, I don't have
Sherry's
it.
got it.
I didn't get it.
No, I sent it to Sherry.
That's why, and I did this.
Okay. You kind of go through them and
Yeah, go
see in addition to.
But we need to vote on it. This was done by vote.
This isn't subject to a vote. These are amendment proposal,
This is coming from you, Paul, or guys?
well, from
First, from your.
three or four of us.
I don't need to vote on them.
But there's.
Three or four other people, yes, submitted things
This
to
is
me. and
four.
Well, he could propose them anyway.
Anybody can propose.
We don't have to vote on it. We want to vote it.
Our members will vote on it. Vote on it.
This is what the board
That's
is
what it is.
proposing.
Yeah.
That would.
This is from the membership.
You.
Well, that's right.
What even emailed from the membership?
Right, which we tried to pull together last month.
Well, they have gotten some things that we didn't have that.
We'd have till 20 days before, I think, to.
That's what I'm saying. So if there are some here that are repeated based on.
About that, good.
Where's this one here?
Yeah, go.
This is just the current rules. What we talked about last month is what you'll see in red. Find out, I'll put one up here. I think that's what we came up with last month. But we didn't.
All right. Okay. What else is there?
All the ones that we did last month. We talked about best player rules, the meeting coming by WebEx.
Oh, so you got the electronic thing, that's good. I figured that.
Yeah, we did last month, right, the day of the meeting.
Well, this last month, Linda has been, I was,
Yesterday, it's
Yeah.
too far away.
you know,
So,
That was a bunch of.
I have to redo the same thing, I have to redo the consent for the things that you can do organized fashion.
Yeah, I was going to ask you
I
about
think they're all, I tried to code one of them per amendment, and number.
vote on the law. You can't, right?
No, you can't, our rules say we will do it,
Yeah,
and
you
then
have,
they can.
you have them, Mary, you need to read them.
So what we need to do is, at the May meeting, you go to this is what the board did.
I'll say these.
And what the members.
That's four.
Well, it's a group of suggestions from people that I assimilated, I wrote it.
Right, but if Dan wants to present one, the
Or
members,
Dan can.
is what I'm saying, that's the difference, that's why that's the.
Okay, so I guess I'm going back to the same question.
That doesn't matter, Paul.
Paul, are you proposing this on behalf of,
Proposing, yes.
on behalf of the executive board?
No. It's just,
With membership, it would be from an individual.
it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter where they're coming from, Steve, our membership's gonna vote on every one of them.
Exactly.
All I want to know is, do we merge it into the one we have proposed, or we leave it separate? That's all I want
I
to know.
leave
Because
it
this
separate.
was done by vote.
Yeah, I
Fine,
think it's,
this is not by vote, so that's all I want to know. Is, are we going to merge this, or just leave this as a separate entity?
I think it needs to say that, Paul.
Okay,
do
so we'll leave it at
separate.
that.
I leave it as a separate entity, it's all pretty well put, you got your stuff right in there.
Because at some point, some of the,
They overlap, some things you've already.
Oh, yeah.
they may.
I have no idea, actually.
Credits, I don't know.
That's all I'm saying. If there's
No, that's certainly language.
overlap, you might want to just
So we put them together.
not do it.
Right. Now, what Jim had brought up, and we proposed here the assigners, make game reports and game cards in, and we're gonna pay them more. He wants to, well, got soccer. Am I correct? For assigning AR? All the clubs. No, absolutely not. No, we want what are the pretty well got. We need the game cards. The issue is when there's a player that's been challenged, do not turn in the game card. And with no way of
So
verifying.
do they turn them into the assignment?
No, USA.
It's not the same game card every time we got stopped.
Yes, now, what maybe guest player?
They wouldn't necessarily have
So we don't need the game report, we need them.
every card. You're gonna do electronic game report, but we need a paper game card
We need the
from
game card now.
electronically submitted, but the coach comes up to the team and he's got the game card. And the referees check in the player. Okay, that's the thing we need. And submit it to USA. We'll set up the website for them to do it. But that's what we need, because players.
Do a game report, you have the several red cards.
But what has happened is we've had a lot of challenges on player eligibility, and referee has not submitted the game card. I email the assigner, and the assigner can't get the referee to send in the game card because the referee has thrown the game card away.
Consider rules and regulation. Yeah, well, let me explain something, so really, you don't have,
I might need
Mm-hmm.
we're clear in our,
particular if you had three different areas sending all the game cards to you, would it be easier to send it in to the referee? I don't, let him monitor it,
What we would suggest,
instead of you monitoring six, my referee, and I can get a hands on, I'm just using me as that way, I can see you sending in my name. So
oh no, you'd be getting copy of it. What, have it set up to go to the website?
and
Get a copy of it.
that file myself, and then later, they get me, game, so game, and I can enter you, you know, and all.
No, all will be submitted to the USA website. We'll have a copy, you'll have a copy. So we'll
Probably
know.
better that way, worst case scenario, if something happens. Well, it's a lot of
You want to have a accountable game cards. You're just figuring out the process.
all right, call us.
On the survey, it said at the bottom, if I'm not mistaken, if you have any ideas. An electronic device, but we can, things a bit more difficult. We have to now add a piece of paper electronically, scan and send it in. Interested in finding out that guest player, the only referee and not on the coach, that if you use that player in the morning, and print it, have it, so the referee checks them in, okay, that kid, that's it, yeah, he's here. Let the coach that wants to challenge the issue, let the coach go challenge directly to USA.
That's the plan with the guest player. But going to, for the rules that we've got proposed, here's from the roster, and are requiring them to be, so they're on the roster.
So why does the referee have to copy and send it in? Let the coach send it in. You also require the USA, the Triple-T part, they have to fill that out too. I did 3 games, I think, the USA games. They were a USA sheet. I had to fill that out, right? The referee gave it to them. I had to send that in also.
The proposal is to allow you not to require that, just the game card. And the reason for the game card is not just that, but it's who participated in the game. We had games, you have games with 22 players on the roster and only 18 are to play. It's also checked out if a player participated who may have been red carded. It's that's critical to do.
The card's got the list of players, so a game report doesn't have it.
Exactly.
So the ref gets it, he checks the players, and he checks them off.
Game at,
Mhm.
one coach, and I have a game card. agree with that. You didn't know the point, I'm not getting like that.
Yeah.
What, everyone's supposed to bring a game card, but a game card is both teams. So it might have been getting away because the other coach happened to bring a game card, so we're able to check them off. Okay? So, everybody brings one, everybody gives you one. I got 15 game cards here.
What,
Need one, really.
what has to be determined?
These game cards, I think the players aren't on here, and that could happen. So that's why we need a game card.
Even with the game card, yeah. the game card.
That's why you need them. I don't have a problem. But that answers your question of why one coach didn't have it, and then had it. He's been because the other coach brought it.
Or he just said that, that's because he didn't want to. The other thing, right, the other thing with the game card is that sometimes would put the onus on the club registers and all that, making sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, is because sometimes you don't always have uniform numbers. Or, maybe, a player or whatever, or you have a guest player that has the same number or whatever, that you
This stuff has to come up at this meeting, because a lot of this stuff is, we're gonna enforce it.
and it's a little bit of a nightmare.
And you gotta start to say what's reasonable and what isn't. If we start to legislate for the 1%,
We've been asking for the game card.
right,
We get about 30%, 20 to 30%.
I put it. If we have a game card and the search and all that are written in, do a report sheet that doesn't have anything other than check precautions.
We need the game report in Got Soccer, because that lets us know that.
Yeah, but the 3-part.
No, we don't need.
No, we don't need the 3-part.
We need a copy of it.
There goes away one piece of paper, Carlos.
Right.
We just threw that away.
Make sure you do that.
Even bring them.
Wait,
The phone.
Yeah.
let's talk about game cards, and let's talk about game
That's a
cards.
whole, yeah.
Because, the reason I want to interject this is the coaches need to leave the game with a piece of paper that lists the score,
Right.
if there were any red
Just in case
cards,
something comes up.
just in case something comes up.
So give them the game card and let them set it to that's the way it's always been.
But-
Yeah, oh, boy.
Referees, you go to State Cup, referees responsible to bring in and turn in the game.
Exactly. It's
You go to this cup,
Yeah.
you go to regional
So
cup.
the referee is the authority there, and, I don't think we can take that onus off the
FIFA
referee.
says that referees are to turn in a report to the offensive body. And that's what we're asking the referees to do, to turn
Right.
in the report.
We're just trying to get rid of paper.
We're getting rid of paper.
Well, that's what I want to clarify. You gotta start training referees.
Mhm.
I've been doing this 1 year, and we see that often.
We start
Start doing now, this, we're in training, we're not kind of training, I don't have any problem with that. I just want to be clear of what needs to be said and how we're going to monitor.
But you
That's
need
my
to
opinion.
wait.
I want to know.
Right, but we will,
That's the bottom line. I will say that's the bottom line.
Yes.
I got referees not turning in game cards. And if that game, well, this is going to get rid of the referee. I'm agreeing with you 100%. I'm on that, and I think we need it, because I think we need to start training these referees young and do it the right way. When we're training it young, then when we get to the president stuff, and we get to it.
mhm.
We were at stuff this last week, and I sat up there Friday night, and I told 55 referees
Mhm.
about our sense. I guarantee you, I'll commit money when there be 2 or 3 scores for indoors. Sure do. It's a problem. So let's get them trained now. So I agree with all that. I just want to be clear. What we want these
but
referees.
this is not, look, for the executive session right now, this is beyond what we're doing. This is something for Sunday to start. We need to, we need to clear up, Jim, and the two things is we've got to be sure that we're not, so for the 1%, the one kid that didn't show up out of 500 teams, that we aren't going overboard. And I'm telling you, man, you guys are all talk to some of the members and we'll see. You know.
This is
You talk to them, and they feel differently about it, though, Mario. We, not I'm a ref, but I mean, we're all in the match.
Yeah, I know.
It's fine. The problem is when this guy shows up without a game card and doesn't get the plane, he's driven 50 miles to go to the play.
That's to clarify also. Okay? The team, they came about. This last year, you just, the games, right?
This is the whole proposal for next year that will be pre-printed on there.
That's correct. Now, who players on the game?
That's up to the club.
And I'll be sure of that.
Who is going to put?
That's the
The red shirt of each individual club.
Hear me out.
unless they,
Hear me out. Okay?
I could say, it's gonna, well,
Okay, we're gonna leave this to the, okay? I don't, you don't any game cards.
They can't.
You can control the game cards. Yeah.
He can't. The only person that should have control over Dot Soccer to make changes to the game card is the red shirt.
but should.
Then on Friday night, you want,
That's just,
crazy.
it's just gonna happen. And they're gonna have a broken one.
Absolutely, but you know what? They come when
Mark, that's the problem.
yeah. No, Mario, when
It doesn't work that way.
when my team manager showed up to State Cup and had their picture on the back and they said it had to be on the front,
I know.
that was our problem.
I just want to keep you.
That's why it wasn't that.
That's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Then,
No, you are absolutely right. We're going to be looking in here going, a pain in the butt that was, but there's a learning curve.
the only thing he said.
Show us the reprint. Right.
People,
Right.
like,
Then
But this year, we have allowed them to write it in, correct? So without this rule change, they'll still be able to write it.
Correct. We have a rule change.
Without the rule change, writing it in the spot.
offenders are, they'll know who the offenders are after the offenders get either up.
making a decision here.
Almost a game.
We're talking about changing. We're talking about changing.
Now, if I
Rule.
one, let's say here from one team, which is, we're here right now.
And if that's going to be the easiest for everybody, then we'll stick with that. But
The only thing that's not in the rest of the rule, what you're saying is, yes, you can write it out, but then, you know, it's like, and you have to get a
you just have to get a copy of it. That's the biggest thing.
So is everything on the game card for like coaches to sign,
No.
Yes.
Is it?
the player,
Score was on there at the end.
and is there a place for the home team, visiting team? On a card.
Let me go pull up one.
Carlos. If the player, if the coach sign off on the cards, the average score.
But without a free part, how do they leave?
They don't, they gotta make sure the game.
It's gonna be the game card.
The game card.
The game card is gonna be your game.
They gotta verify it.
I get
They
that.
gotta verify it.
So when the score is on there, they attest to it, right?
Copy state up. We don't give a copy.
No, you run inside, and the Sherrys are sitting inside that room, and that's where you attest. You don't have to mail anything in. That's different.
Right.
So what happens if one of the referees doesn't do it, then all of a sudden we don't have a score?
Again,
That's
again, at State Cup, you're lucky because the ref is still in the room. I had the same situation a couple of weeks ago, right?
I can pick up, I can find it off.
I think that's all we have.
We have to discuss
good, but what happens if the referee goes on there, accidentally throws it away with it?
Well, listen, let me ask,
Doesn't have, on the name card, doesn't have red cards listed on it, doesn't have yellow cards. It doesn't. I'm telling you, we can't change the name card.
yes, it does. Yellow cards on it. It's the very last follow. I think you want your yellow card.
I'm fine with using your game card if it comes. I'm fine with covering all the game card. I'm not comfortable with not leaving with it.
Here's another thing for you.
You're late to this point.
You have to mark it on there.
Do it. No place to write on here, somebody just did it. If we see from the referee,
I'm sorry, what did you just say? You don't have a place to write?
if somebody's sitting out of suspension, the ref would have to mark it on here next to their name.
There's a block down there, isn't there?
Well, you could always just cross off.
That's why we had this.
There's a,
Anyway, block on here.
This is not.
You guys have anything else? Nothing else.
Why don't you report?
Want to do something else up? Okay. We have pretty adult referees handling the game. And their youth kids are 12, 13, 14 doing these games. Okay. This paperwork, we're gonna say, you know what, I really don't want to do those kind of games. I'm gonna do these kind of games. Go paper and done. It's gonna happen. So you're gonna lose referees. Now, when you do the youth season, when you have little kids, do you think that's paperwork from them? And then you're gonna chase them off?
no, tires, sure. I mean, I don't know. Okay. Get inside the game card. Representative at every club.
You do the score,
Turn in the game card.
you do the score, you give it back to the coach.
Oh, yeah? Like, what's that? Which, what are you talking about?
FBL.
APL? One rep, one rep. And whatever, the other like, for games, let's say. And. Right.
So you the club representative.
That's what I'm saying.
At the site.
At the site. And the club representative, then, you know, demonstrates or sends those invites to women, okay? But the thing is, bottom line is, there's somebody in the club that's responsible for the games that are played on Saturdays. Then we don't have a problem. They have whatever, let's say, for USA games, so someone will be there at the club to call game call. And they have the game, and then it's central, and then it's sent off. So then everybody knows what's going on. You don't have the game or the game call for that side. For the, I mean, you're not going, well, this coach is supposed to send it in, the other coach is supposed to send it in. You have whatever, two coaches will send it in to others that won't. It's a club. You are the USA League, and you're required to have somebody there that can accept those game cards after the games. And that's it. By the end of the day, all the game cards for USA are together.
Like what you do for a tournament. You know, you have that tournament, you have all the report,
And that's what BPL does. That's what CDL does. There's no problem in getting game cards for their home games. So it shouldn't be a problem.
I know, Jake, you will look at
Which USA as a club, that's one of your responsibilities.
and it can be whatever, Joe for one Saturday and Mike for the other day, but the bottom line is, all the USA game reports have, or game cards, to be by today. Then,
The referees don't get paid until it's,
oh, the referees get paid, but we can control, make sure we get the game costs, because if it's a game that's, we know Auburndale is supposed to send on
so if it's not sent in, it'll be a good act up.
They don't send it, well, there's a problem. No, I mean, it's simplified. We don't know why we think, like, otherwise you gotta go after, each referee,
Fields, there's a lot of fields that they don't have.
Yeah.
well, but again, it's something, taking clubs, to be honest, whatever, there may be two teams, one team, or, okay, if you only wanna affiliate one team with us, well, you still have the responsibility.
Yeah,
Whatever.
rules and
We can't just go, well, it's a small club, they don't have, but
Be
you
careful.
this is your responsibility, is what you have to do. Well, you don't have a home game.
Okay, well,
That's
that's fine.
what we have to enforce. I mean, whatever we do, we've got to be on top of it. And this board has to agree that we're going to be united, saying, that's it.
Well, starting with the assigner, that's what we originally thought, but there were,
The game report. I don't know, somehow,
So it has to go up,
or it has to go,
upload.
whatever.
Right.
I mean, it like whatever. With Westpac or whatever, it would be Tony Mealy that, right, would collect all the game reports or the game cards, and then,
No, they're going to come to USA. They get copied at the same time. When they.
that's the club's representative that's going to collect.
It would be the club.
Even though he's still, he's the signer as well.
I just mentioned it because I know he's like on the.
He's on top of everything.
He lives there. Or somebody else,
Club.
a CBU, it might be Ronnie. Huh?
The guy said, it's all day there.
Whoever the club wants to elect to do this, okay? But that's our problem, right, the clubs.
Right.
What are you going to do when we don't get game cards for a game?
Find the club. There's your club. Find the club, yeah.
No, we contemplate.
Of course. Whatever, bond, or whatever it might come down to, I mean.
Well, it's going to be all their home teams, so maybe, some to the fact that that home team forfeits that game.
I mean, I can talk about that.
So that's something we may have to discuss a little further with.
That listed, should we, and that's a good rule change. I don't care where I'm from, but there's going to be consequences. Right, and, and then we can talk about time report, but, yeah, should be. Here's
The game.
and where we come from, but, we are important game cards are when we come to just the issues we run into, right? So we can, so that's the thing. Again, hey, it should be the responsibility of the club. If I part of, hey, give those game cards.
And how are we going to know that what they send us is what the referees gave them and not something they filled out? Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's something, if there is any issue, the referee, is that the way it works? I don't know.
Which one is the game card?
Well,
I think I missed a piece here, but that's the question that I had. This is the game summary to enter your scores.
No.
Correct.
This is the paper trail.
It's the paper, and this is like a roster of players.
Yeah.
Call it the roster of players.
Yeah.
The there is a block on there to write in.
That's a requirement, we're gonna keep on requiring that with,
Whether there was, that every player would leave there or there.
I mean, that could be turned into one document also. I mean, that's, you get documents.
well, part of the paper that's at the field. And the,
Have a referee report at the.
well, the problem is, if this is left in the field, like we're suggesting, then the referee doesn't have anything when he goes home to his computer to enter in, because this is the record that he's made of the game.
That's the referee to complete that, upload that.
That's what they were taught, that's what we were doing, but the suggestion was for the ref not to do it, so that's, would you?
What do we pay them for?
That was the original suggestion, was to make sure that the referees did that. That's the rule proposal. They're now discussing changing it from referees to the club.
Yesterday, you say, right about that, right here, there was another complaint that they're using.
It was not guest players, because we're going to change the rules to club pass. That issue goes away. The issue, they're going to be on the card. The issue is if a player participated in the game. We have no way of knowing when you've got a roster of 22, who was the team that participated.
We're just afraid. You're right. Like, you know, why do we hang the referee for? At this point, until the system is full, you know, if some referees that are not responsible enough to do it, then we're going to have a copy. Sometimes you get a copy without getting the.
And they do.
But at the moment, we want to penalize the for that the referee.
They can take a picture of this paper.
So, and we are paying the referees responsible for what we pay them.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Mike, another way, if the ref completes the card and completes the game report, the ref is stadium. Right? Us referees, when they leave the stadium, they don't do anything. It's up for the club to report to the league and put on. One now brings you down an iPad where you sit in the club in the locker room and type in the locker room. You get an iPad.
That's a gold standard, you know, we can require that. I mean, in this day and age of the laptop,
When the referee leaves the stadium,
they don't leave everything.
the referees fill out the game log. Referees fill out all the so they write up whatever they got to write. They give it to the league to play the team, league on, and he takes care of it. He doesn't have to fax anything. He doesn't have to go home and tell anything.
It's all done right there.
The league takes care of it. Saying they don't do it, you're just sharing it one day.
To answer his question, you're paying to do the game.
Yeah.
Do the game.
And then the report of the game, once the report's made, you turn it to the league, who then puts it in.
Just a filing process.
Yeah, not on the Senate.
Yeah. Just sure we get it.
That's just part of the thought process. Yeah.
However, we need two things. We need the game report and we need the online game report. And we can enter the online game report. My concern is if we have him hand this over at the league, at the game, he won't have information he needs to fill.
Can the club take, like you just said, take a picture of it or something and have them send that in and then the referee can take it? Just like, so you have something.
I can't impose them to have it. I can't.
No, the club would do it. The club would take it.
Could be required. I mean, there are some leagues that require the team.
In other words, you come in and Tony Lee has a camera with just, okay, thank you, and then with him, and he can just send that to us. But that's how you do it anyway. Instead of, you know, I don't know, just thinking out loud.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out what's the
Thinking
best
out loud.
way. But we're
Okay.
these reports.
So, going back to the computer right now.
Yes.
Doing something right now.
Yes, he has to go after the online game report. I'll show you those.
And he has that card already on his computer because he would,
Yeah, he can pull the game
card, you would have that game card, the red would have, but he wouldn't have the filled out.
He doesn't print it. He doesn't print it. He doesn't take it with
He
him.
could look at it, he could pull it up, but he doesn't have what's the scoreboard, yellow card, red card.
He wants to know who showed up.
We're trying to merge that 3-card paper into and the game card into one. The only fear that I have is that if something gets along the way, the coaches don't have a copy. What Carl is saying is that it's a club copy in one of some kind of.
They both bring their card with names on it. And because it's Florida. Yeah, so the ref takes up the names that are present. The kid is serving a suspension. His name should be crossed out, right?
Whatever, we don't.
Yeah, well, some way, method, shape, or form, or document this kid's going to be ready.
Yeah.
So, okay. So now, game is over. Puts in yours and hands it over to the club administrator, club representative. He's done. Yeah, put that out right there.
Yeah, they're required to fill it out right there. And then the
Technically,
but then the next problem is online report.
The online report, which is.
You're saying fill out that online report right there?
Yeah.
He can't replicate with phone.
he can't. He doesn't have the capabilities. The kid doesn't have a phone.
So then that's the request. So either you have to take a picture, the club has to take a picture of that game report so they have a copy of it.
This is all the technology in the world, and look how difficult it is.
It's just like a school, right? Just like a school that is, that doesn't have the amount of computers that are newer school. If you require every club to have a computer set up for that referee every Saturday, then, but not.
There are leagues that require, not kidding, there are leagues in the United States that require the team to present the ref with a at game time so that he can his online report.
Well, that's the club's device, right?
What we're talking about is having the club provide the referee or.
Mhm.
That's the issue, not mine.
So that way the referee can do his game report right there.
The coach forged something.
Oh, no.
That's not get the system.
Only the referee can enter a game report into Dot Soccer. A coach cannot do it. This is the account. Now, I can go in and I can put in, or Sherry can, we could put in the yellow, the red cards, and the scores. That's not a problem. We can game supplemental. Only the referee can.
Yes.
That's the supplemental here.
Can we print out 2 game reports and next one and one week?
Normally each team brings.
Yeah, so why?
So the coach gets a copy, and whichever.
You can get the home team. Yeah, you just have to write it up twice. The home team gets a copy, he takes a copy and he goes on.
Three cards is one.
3-part form was winning coach, losing coach, and referee.
And the only problem there too is that, coach can then take the card and do whatever he wants with it. This is the card that I signed. Carbon copy, you don't write on a card.
So we've had people in,
Yeah.
and they,
Yeah, that you can't really do.
that's why we like the 3-part, because if we, what we get in by one coach, we have the other coach get a copy, and it at that way.
That's the only thing, that's my only fear, is that if I leave that deal with the coach, with that game report, I feel like if something messes up, I'm good, I'm okay. But if some process messes up along the way and that coach doesn't leave the game report, the potential that score.
I would have to do it.
That's it. Or suspension. We just have to.
We need to bring this, have it clearly defined by somebody.
We have to figure out what the board wants to do.
We don't matter. We just gotta bring it to the vote, say, look, here we go. We don't go there because we have to make the decisions with stuff, no matter what the clubs want to do. This is gonna change the regulations or rules. Right. We want to live by the rules. That's how we want to handle the cards and procedure. Still got to what we see as.
Well, that's not a great idea. We just shot holes in it.
But it did make a lot more sense than I.
Shot holes in it, so it wasn't gonna work.
I don't think we can change anything until we have a fairly.
It's what's gonna work better than what's working now. You know, well, let's start, let's get, what is wrong with it? What information are we getting? Okay, but what is the most, if you could get one thing, what would it be?
Why can't we go on? Yeah.
With the card, I'm saying, what about the card?
Why?
Just play the sport. Well, what game?
Okay.
As a player,
Just like they, and what.
But what we just do, kind of, I know what you're saying, is we're trying to eliminate paper and stuff like that. I mean, until we know it's been run through a year, a certain way, why can't we do both? And say, okay, we're still going to have game reports, those papers.
We did.
Yeah, but we didn't instill a different rule on how that was going to be told.
We had them last season because I know when I did my 2 or 3 games at that USA game, the guy came up with a 3-part form.
Right, but that was what was required. Now we're going to say this is required, but we're going to do this, we're still going to have this as a backup just in case.
Some bring it, some don't bring it.
Yeah, but we can enforce the rules of the new system.
Being the referee complete the.
Right, okay, and that's going to be what's in place, but we still have to have those game reports just for at least 1 year while we wean one system out and one system in. Thing is that our new rules are that the referee, blah, 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 does all this, get on, but just in case they don't, or something else, we can still fine club or find a referee or whatever we're going to do based on him not complying, but at least the team is not out of luck. And then the following year, once everybody's gone through it a year, now we're getting for it. And then can, going cold turkey with something because that's when we set ourselves up for it. And fall through the cracks. That's my suggestion. Get a new, get up.
Well, for all the referees, all referees.
Don't give him a tablet then.
So this guy was saying.
You know what? 99% of those kids
Dan was saying.
have iPhones. Okay. Well, most of the players, can I borrow your iPhone for a second? Quick.
It's gotta be. The catch. Just the work against the kids a year, you know?
I pulled up the game report, so you can see it.
Block where you fill in.
This is not what's at the game. The game.
Online, which is that up there, right?
Supplemental. It doesn't say supplemental here, but it does remember.
You play it. But I'm a referee.
It in here, it's saying it's in here. But this is.
Oh, games.
So there's general and the game report.
It's all one thing when you log in.
Yeah, it's the block. I call it the block on that.
There's 2 blocks. You've got, this is the report, it's not what you see when you're representing.
That's what you get, yeah. Down here somewhere on that.
It's the supplemental, this is the
It's the
supplemental.
little area where you can write on the story.
It's as big as you want it to be.
Yeah, but
That's what you wrote for this.
we come back to the
So, I mean, there's not, this was one of the, we cannot, you cannot write this in a soccer game report.
Yeah.
The referee says and write it in. And then I've had trouble with some referees.
So Carlos, in regard to paperwork,
Just look.
this helps replace the something that they have some else. Facts and send in. You know, this is for our report, this is all.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, we need a supplemental. We don't need a USSR. We don't need a USSM document. It's our document that we use.
This is,
Yeah, right, exactly. That we didn't want to get from that one referee that he didn't want to use it.
that's right, we've got the one referee, we've never got it.
So, we are replacing paperwork.
they voted unanimously.
So here.
And this in the club now, so the club can read.
You and rubber sacks.
Good stuff there, so.
I would just, I like to do one with paper,
And the other day, it's
but need those
unbelievable.
postures were at least.
So my options, so the free part, the coaches just sign off on the thing, or maintain the free part. 1 year.
Yeah, that's all,
1 year.
just 1 year.
Trial, as we get the signers, as long as, if, because we gotta get the signers on board and all the referees on board, get the game card turned in. Or you can just go with the
I
game
just
card.
don't think there's something as a game report and we can go call it form. Yeah, we can get away with that.
Take your iPhone and take a picture.
The
That's all I
iPhone,
say.
that's what I'm saying, you can take a picture. All these kids have smartphones with cameras on.
They all do.
They
They're-
Not all our kids.
I teach the poorest of the poor kids, and they all have phones. They all have phones, all of them.
That's the thing, a coach, there's gotta be somebody on a team with a smartphone.
Sorry.
Somebody's gotta tell the teams somebody's gotta have a smartphone, it's gotta be.
Well, it's a little.
Oh, I know.
How many got off the field that somebody left?
Mm-hmm.
We get no phone.
Anyway. All right. Let me see a copy of this.
But you know, get back to the refs for 1 minute is important of the whole thing. The girls I was just talking. What happens when a ref doesn't show, an AR doesn't show? What do you do? A ref show right away, we're right back to cluster.
But they have,
We don't have enough refs.
they have no response.
But that's not they're not assigned, so it's not.
No, but the fact is that's who's, we don't have, we've got a global problem with referees. I don't know how to solve it. I'd love to, someone's gonna tell me how to solve it. Huge problem.
Oh.
No, I just don't like doing it nowadays because I hear so much crap from the parents,
Mm-hmm.
which is hard.
That's a worse, more problem than doing paper.
Yeah, that's my point. We're all worried about this stuff and we don't have enough of
The
it
major problem
to start with.
is the parents.
It's a societal thing. I mean, it's beyond our purview, but someone's got to be creative enough to come up with a solution that we can to get refs back because it's tough. You get up to the center of the field, you can get on the sideline, but you try and pull one of them guys in the center. Years ago, we could call even an under-10 game. They don't do it because the parents, even an under-10, are screaming on them, and they don't want to put up the kids.
We talk about club responsibility.
Yeah.
I had an altercation game. Connection was. No, what? I was in the center. The kid was on the left.
Well, you won the center.
I was in the center.
I didn't know that.
My son, 6'3", is A1. He comes to the field, okay? And I made sure nobody came off the bench. I know that because I quickly looked onto the field so everybody stayed behind him. This boy didn't know. Midfield.
Yeah,
Because all the
they're not supposed to be cops. That's the problem. I mean, in other words, they end up having to be police.
Fantastic, technique
Right.
mechanics, and he knows the game.
But all of a sudden, he's got 7 unranked adults.
Looking and he's seeing people, parents chasing each other, punch each other, run out of place. And I was like, so he was frozen.
Yeah. That's what we've got.
He was fine. Then he stepped off the field and he's like this. He's been in games where we've had Suncoast games. People start acting